So let's talk about some of the personal stuff. And the part that struck me was interesting is, and we had talked about this before, that sometimes spending money on things is a trap. But the experiences tend to have bigger payoffs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so here's what happened. We anticipate how much happier would I be if I got a new car. And we think we'll be really happy. And indeed, we are very happy, but for shorter time than we think we would. And over a longer time, the happiness goes down. So you get real boost of happiness, and then it goes down. That's for things that are constant, that you get them every day. We adapt, we get used to them. It's not as happy. There are other things that are not constant, but are intermittent. For example, going skiing in Switzerland, for example. Doing something that is exceptional. And those things are intermittent. And you might think, if I buy a sofa or a car, I get to enjoy it every day. And if I go on a skiing vacation, I'll only get to enjoy it for a week. That's true, but what people don't understand is that the enjoyment from the sofa will be short-lasting, more short-lasting than they think it would, and they would kind of become lower over time. And the vacation, if it's something exceptional, would actually stay in your memory and will get you to think differently about parts of your life. Now, if you just do something that is unexciting, of course it's unexciting, but if you do something that is exciting, this intermediate experience would not allow you to adapt. And you will keep on experiencing it, remember it, and thinking about it, and might actually change your life in a deeper way. So the answer is that if you're thinking about two experiences, one is a sofa, one is a vacation, and you think you're going to enjoy them to the same way, odds are you should go for the vacation.
So another part of the book that's interesting is about how our emotions can often lead us to make some bad decisions. And I do love the idea of this, someone sends an email and in a flurry of anger, and it's never going to be a good thing. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about how your emotions can really lead you astray, and talk about it also from say an investor. What can investors do to guard against what is naturally a response that's probably not going to be in their best interest?
Yeah. So the way to understand it is that we have these two systems that help us make decisions. One is cognitive and thoughtful, and you can think about the long term, and one is emotional. And emotion is about the short term. And investment should not be done with the short term system, because investing is not about tomorrow. So investment should not be reactive. And the way I try and do it is I try to never be reactive. So I never open my portfolio, see what happened, and then make a decision. I try to make a decision up front, which is saying, I know basically what I have, I know basically what I want. If I read something and I want to change it, I make a decision about what I want to change, and then I go and I change it. But you don't want to do it as a reactive way. The other thing, of course, is to try and not look as much.
Right.
Because the reality is that every time you look, your emotion will get activated. And not looking so much at your portfolio is actually a really good strategy for feeling less emotion and therefore acting on it to a lower degree. And there's another kind of interesting kind of recommendation, which is from time to time to imagine that somebody went into your portfolio and sold everything, and you're starting from scratch. There's something called the status quo bias, which is that you have a tendency to continue doing what you've done before. So what's your position tomorrow? It's going to be very similar to what it was yesterday, because there's this inertia that you'll keep on doing the same thing. But imagine I went into your portfolio, sold everything. Imagine it didn't cost you anything, right? Mm-hmm. And now you have to reallocate your portfolay. Would you make the same decisions?
Right, and that's a good test for yourself. If someone's holding on to a stock and waiting, and you say, right, hey, would I actually buy this today? Because if I wouldn't buy it today, maybe it's okay to sell it.
That's right.
So give yourself permission. So before we go, I just want to have you do a little bit on revenge, because I found this to be an interesting concept about what pleasure do we get out of this concept of revenge?
Yeah. Here's the way to understand revenge. Imagine you and I lived on an island. And imagine I had a mango and you really wanted my mango. And I didn't look, I looked around and you had a chance to steal it. And you might think to yourself, if you steal my mango and run far away enough, I will do the cost benefit. I will say, should I chase you? Should I get a new mango? And if you run far away enough, I'll go and get a new mango. So if I was rational, you might steal my mango. But what if I was irrational? What if I had a tendency to revenge? And if you took my mango and ran away, I will not sleep and I will not rest. I will hunt you down. I will find you. I will take my mango. I will take your bananas. I'll wreak havoc on you. Under those conditions, you probably wouldn't pick with me to start with. Right? So there are two interesting things here. One is that revenge, while irrational, is sensible. It helps keep order in society. And the second thing to understand is that revenge and trust are actually two sides of the same coin. The reason we can have trust is that we have revenge, because we understand that the violation of trust will be expensive. And trust is incredibly important, but because of that also we have this tendency to revenge. And this is one thing I think that the banking industry is not really understanding, how important trust is.
Yeah, well, they're finding out right now.
They are finding out, but they're not doing anything.
Well,
right?
that's the upsetting thing. So we're going to be like a two-person band, take the show on the road, and use your data and try to like blow the horns and say, come on, things have to change. And in return, I will never steal your mangoes. Does that
That's
seem
right.
fair?
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks.
Let's just hope the banks will do it.
That's right. Well, I'm thinking that's a long shot, but I definitely won't steal your mangoes.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Good to know.
Dan, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
And thanks for watching.